My name's Natalie Middlemist. I'm 37 years old. I'm a local complex care midwife here in the St George area, and I live not too far away from here. I look after women who might have a mental health background, so might have a mental health problem or suffer from severe anxiety, women who might have experienced some type of trauma with a previous birth, or even a traumatic childhood or a traumatic experience as an adult, which affects their ability to trust or provides them with a lot of fear as they go in and transition into becoming a mum. I work closely with domestic violence victims and survivors, and drug and alcohol, which is a lovely little passion of mine. My job is to sit down and listen to them and to make sure that they are heard and that all their needs are met during their pregnancy and throughout their transition into parenthood. All women who are pregnant are asked a list of questions to assess whether they have any additional needs and support. The great thing about what I do is we have longer appointment times. We've got a lot of flexibility. So we can actually work with the women to do what's best for them and to give them the love and support that they need. A lot of women are very fearful of disclosing what's going on in their lives because they think that, most healthcare workers are trying to take away their baby. It's only in really extreme circumstances where the Department of Community and Justice might get involved. It's not often. We often work with women and their families to support them to be able to overcome whatever challenges that they have in order to keep the family together. If they're experiencing domestic violence, supporting them, and if they feel ready to leave, support them to do that, make sure the baby's safe. If they have an issue with drug addiction, to get them into rehab or work with drug and alcohol to be able to support them so that this doesn't impact their ability to parent. The trauma women, they're really fearful of everyone. So it's about sitting down and gaining their trust and being honest and being transparent. If I'm worried about something, I'm going to tell them. I'll say to my women, look, this is what I'm worried about and this is why I'm worried. I do make it clear to all women that I see that I'm a mandatory reporter. I have to report if I've got any child protection concerns, but I'm open and honest about that. We know from research that if you're a teenage mum, your child's like to become a teenage mum and so forth. And the same with our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders. They've got some generational trauma there, which can certainly pass down. So just being mindful of all those issues and making sure that we tailor the care to the individual mum. I've been a midwife since 2005. When I first started midwifery in the UK, it was predominantly about the holistic side of midwifery, so being with the woman, supporting her physically and emotionally. Through the years, I have noticed that it's become significantly medicalised. There's a lot of concern about litigation, and so you kind of at times feel like you're working from death backwards. The support and services isn't necessarily there all the time, and COVID sadly has had a significant impact. When a woman comes to have a baby, it's the most vulnerable time of their lives. Their body is going to go through this massive change, and that's really scary. During COVID, there were at times where if their partner was COVID positive, that they couldn't come in and support them, or they were COVID positive themselves. And rather than having a midwife like myself come and sit down, have a cup of tea, you can see my face, you can look at my body language. They were experiencing midwives that were in full PPE. Male or female midwife coming to you in yellow PPE with goggles and a mask and a visor, and there's so much disconnect there that you weren't able to build relationships. Partners weren't able to come and support their wives, their girlfriends, the women in their life for the antenatal appointments. So I think that was exceptionally hard. From a midwife point of view, felt very overworked, very stressed. We've got families ourselves. There was a lot of risk going to COVID wards and being frightened that you would bring it back to your family and your community. When I was 16, I actually wanted to be a prison officer. I like routine, I like, things to be a certain way, but I was too young. I looked at all different careers and I stumbled upon becoming a midwife, and I'd never met a midwife. I didn't know a lot about having babies and what you had to do. So I did some study, and then at the age of 18, I applied to university to become a midwife. It was an eye-opener. Oof, my goodness. You have to learn very quickly to be able to have a conversation with a completely naked woman and just keep eye contact and be quite comfortable about bodily sound and noises and the stress and anxiety of labour and birth and then that beautiful, amazing moment that absolutely captured me is when there's 3 people in the room and then all of a sudden there's 4. and you've got this beautiful, new, gorgeous human just there in the woman's arms, and that's what keeps midwives there. So I'm feeling blessed to be able to do that. As my career's gone on, I did my dissertation initially in domestic violence, and then I worked on a labour ward. I worked in an IVF clinic for a few years, and then 3 years ago found my lovely passionate job, which is working with complex care women and supporting those ladies. I am also a marriage celebrant. It's quite nice to have a creative outlet as well. Everybody in their life needs to find a happy balance. I get to be there at most people's most enjoyous occasions. Who wouldn't want to do those jobs? This year's going to be a busy year full of weddings as well.